This video was actually once again impromptu, but I just kind of felt like posting something, and it's also to kind of let peeps know that yes, I'm fine, I'm at home, I'm safe and such. But there are a few protests happening near me where I live, and I did figure that my mom mentioned that if we did have one that was really close to us, that we will be joined in. So if I go offline for a bit, that would be the reason. I just felt it was about time I at least posted something that actually featured my actual voice, not just me retweeting and donating and shit online. You know, a lot of things that I don't want to say avoided, but never felt comfortable enough to talk about, especially within the furry space, is because I just know is the sheer amount of whiteness that the furry community has. Take that comment as you will. There is no denying it. Everything that I'm seeing retweeted online goes right back into the art field as a woman of color, as an Afro-Latina, biracial. Everything just sort of clicked. It always clicked, but this moment and the ones before leading up to today and such really clicked for me why I had such a hard time getting into some sort of studio, pitching my idea to publishers and such, why I was heavily disregarded for that 1 year. This is something I normally would have never talked about in the past, but I think it's about time. The publishers that I mentioned that wasted a full year of my time they're based from a city where it has a bad reputation of racism against people of color. When I was conversing with them via emails, of course my first and last name showed up. As soon as you know it's the last name, it's Castillo, you will automatically assume that they're Latin in some shape or form, whether, one side of the family or both families are either from Cuba, or from Dominican Republic, or from Puerto Rico. They're Hispanic, And noticing how unprofessional they were with me, and just the things I dealt with my aunts in regards to the blended racist associates that they had before the current president that we have now. There's a lot that I had to hold in, especially in 2017 when I was going through depression before I first went to Megaplex. The mental toll that has been taken not just on me, but a lot of women like me, darker, lighter, mids, with family members that are like me, or black, or just of color, or Asian, just anyone that's non-white, basically. How even some of this hatred seep its roots to some of my family members in Cuba. How my aunt, who you can tell she's half Asian or half is of Asian descent, who proclaims that she actually hates black people because my grandmother, who before a lot of my aunts were born, and then my mother was dating a man that was African American but was from the US. I'll try to keep the story short. The man was from overseas. He met my grandmother, and I guess she fell in love with him. Don't know how it happened, but she got pregnant. But then he had to leave. My assumption is that he just had no idea, and they had no way to contact each other after that. She had the baby. She left it in the church. And this has been something that, it was one of the things that we tried to get resolved during our times going to Cuba, but because that happened, my grandmother started to hate people black people because of that. And my abuela, her name's Julita, is the youngest. Okay, so when this occurred, a lot of the my other aunts, including my mother, were already out on their own, except for Julita and a few others. And so she was essentially teaching her these racist takes towards people that even look like myself or even lighter. Basically, she was brainwashed to believe that she was better than people like me, or even people such as herself, and that she carried herself as some sort of white person. I say some sort because in reality she's not. She's mixed. She's biracial. I've dealt with it in different ways. You're probably thinking, well, Cassidy, well, first of all, you're not even that dark, and you have a cute little face, and you look... No, I've dealt with it. I've dealt with it, and I've seen it. Here in the U.S., and sometimes in Cuba. I cannot thank the few furs who are Latino, either mixed like me or white passing, who actually speak out about even about the ongoings within the Latin community. How I'm just going to be upfront. If you even have a drop of black in your blood, whether it's from your great-grandmother or even a blood, you're treated differently. I remember a girl named Michelle. You can assume that I'm just faking the name or that this is the person's name. That's up to you to decide. Her parents are from Cuba. She's Hispanic. She's white passing though. Both of my parents are from Cuba, but quite obviously a mix. I'll never forget the day our bus stop was near a church. There was a little area where you can actually go under a roof, and then there would be doors leading to inside the facility. And there used to be African American guy riding on his bike, you know, every morning back and forth, more than likely just biking to his job. And there was this book I was reading, and she apparently supposedly had the same book too. There were different versions or whatever, and we were trying to read to each other different lines and shit. Then she started to act scared and afraid, and then this occurred several times. When I noticed this, that it would occur every time that guy would bike by in the sidewalk, just riding on his bicycle. And then I was like, hey, why do you act like that? And then she's like, oh, it's because I don't like black people, and black people are scary, and just a bunch of bullcrap. She's racist. I actually went with this person. We both went to the same high school. Same thing. Races passed by, more comments towards mixed people, dark-skinned people, light-skinned. I guess she just wanted to be white that bad. One of my brothers, Renato, he's a musician in Cuba. He dated this woman, white passing woman, I don't remember the name. Renato is dark skinned. He can easily pass for another African American here in the US. Easily, you know. But he's Latino, he's from Cuba. He started dating this woman, and this was back before we started to really find out just how fucked up our family was, except for in between my brothers, but even that portion of the family is really, I don't want to get into it, but this was before we started to find out that they were just not worth to keep in touch with, and he was dating this woman. This woman, when we found out everything about this woman and all the shit that went on, I was really surprised by the fact that he stayed with her. Now, it's not to say that you should break up with someone if that particular someone has a racist family, but it comes a point where you have to wonder, is it really worth it? Especially if the partner that you're trying so hard to fight for doesn't seem to be putting in the same fight as you. This woman has a family that they have to travel. All of my family members live in Havana. They live in Havana, Cuba. And this lady she has family in another city. I don't remember if it's Oriente or another city in Cuba, but they would have to travel. I think it's about an hour away from Havana. And they say it straight up, they do not like dark-skinned people at all. They hate them. She never told them about my brother. My brother has never met the family. She essentially kept it a secret. Her last husband was white passing, whatever, non-black. So they were still in the age to where they were able to still have children. Kids were pretty much out of the question, because obviously if she tried to have kids with my brother, she would lose the support of her family. Some of her family members lived in Miami, so sometimes she would actually be able to travel outside of Cuba for a couple of weeks and then come back. Throughout the years, and this was, I believe, the 2015 trip. That was the very last time we ever flew to Cuba. Things really started to go downhill. I guess she was cheating on him. I don't know with who. She started to really make her scarce when it comes to contact, and pretty much started to mistreat my brother now. Their relationship was, on the surface, okay. It was pretty violent on both sides, on top of the racism and such. And there was a moment where it took me aback that one would see a parent as somehow better than the other because of their skin tone color and how long their hair is. My father is black, but can easily pass for Indian. My mother is biracial. My grandmother is Asian and African. She is biracial. My mother's side. My grandfather from my mother's side, white, but he fell in love with my grandmother, and he loved her dearly. He was never racist. My grandfather from my father's side, however, black, but was racist in some aspects. For example, he refused to date dark-skinned women that who didn't have a certain length of hair. He ended up dating my grandmother, who was actually much younger than him, who had a cute little afro, and that was pretty much his condition, that if your hair looks a certain way, or if you're too dark, or he wouldn't date you. He dated my grandmother and I was born. I don't know anything about my great-grandparents from my father's side, but I'm assuming they're all of African descent. So obviously my mother is biracial, light skin, and has long hair. I look at them as my parents. My father is my father and my mother is my mother. Both have their own strengths and weaknesses, but not because of their skin tone or their physical features. They're my parents, and I see them as such. My brother, however, because like I mentioned, he's black, actually tried to parade my mother. There was this event, this venue that he was playing his music at. He played the guitar. He had invited, I believe, my youngest brother, Michael. He's the youngest of the boys. I'm younger than him. I'm the only girl in the family. My brother Michael, a couple of peeps, me, mom, and I don't remember my father went, and one more, to that venue. He has specifically asked my mother to not wear her hair out because she's pretty much the same as me. Whenever, back when her hair was long in Cuba, she actually went ahead and chopped it all off because it's so fucking hot at times and it was easier to maintain, you know. And she kept it in that style up until the incident which led to her right ankle happened to be reconstructed with metal and such. And after retiring from working, she just decided to grow her a little bit, but then she started to get sick with what I mentioned in previous videos, and so her hair just keeps growing and growing, but she doesn't like her hair long. And he had asked her to wear clothing that shows off her skin, not in a sexual way, but enough to where people can tell, even though you can just tell by just looking at her, that she's biracial. My mom told me this, and he did that. At that time, I noticed that he was a little upset with me because my hair right now is a little puffy and a tiny bit curly. It looks shorter mainly because I just have the hook back, but back then I would wash my hair and let my hair curl up naturally and put gel and stuff and just kind of wear it like that, and he didn't like that. None of my brothers like seeing me or women of my complexion and lighter wear our natural hair, whether it's like this or, you know, curly. They hate it. So in some ways they somewhat embrace the fact that they're mixed or black and brown, but they hate so many features that just makes us beautiful. They hate it. My Aunt Julita tried to set me up with this fucking slimeball of a douchebag who was white passing, and did this on purpose because at the time I was dating a guy named Jusmel. He was around, you know, my skin tone. He was pretty much like me, a little bit more, and people would have thought that we were brother and sister. We looked so similar, but no, we were different people. I don't know why, but in the earlier times that we flew to Cuba, I'm assuming he crushed on me or something. I was fat and overweight in that time, so I don't know why that happened. But eventually, through going back to Cuba so many times and staying in contact with my mother, I eventually decided to finally go ahead and give him a chance. Our relationship was just a tiny bit rocky because of some things that his family members tried to do or doubt and assume would happen. But he looked like me. My Aunt Julita would purposely make sure that I was out and about at the time where he would try to visit me and try to, you know, pick me up to go to places and such. And she pushed me towards some fucking lame-ass white passing. I mean, this dude was just not good for me. You know, and tried to convince me, which obviously she did not, that the only type of men I should date are those that are white or white passing, that I should avoid the quote-unquote cocodimbas and such, and just a lot of nasty things to me. This was the trip when I actually went alone, because at this time my mom was at the hospital. I don't remember for what. The reason why she did this was because she was planning on going ahead and divorcing my father, but she wanted to do it while I was away, but that turned out to not happen. They resolved whatever it was that they needed to resolve. I was there for about a month. I'm not even gonna get into the bullshit that occurs here with some of the Hispanic communities here in the U.S. Quite a number of people will try to deny it. Oh no, nope. Look on the Spanish channel. Do you often, I'm talking about often, see people of my complexion and darker on there? Tell me the truth. Tell me. And if you do you see them with hair like this? Or curly? Not celebrities, but just how often? Be very honest. How often do you see it? I'm finally gonna drop back into the furry community. I'm probably gonna lose followers for saying some of this stuff, or I don't know. But it's quite obvious. There's a lot of whiteness in it. Before I try to push through, just try to, I don't want to say ignore it, but like I said, I mentioned the art field, even the furry community. I'm seeing a lot of fucking bad takes from there. Some of your motherfuckers, especially in that one Telegram chat, I'm not gonna mention it, I already tweeted it out. Y'all can suck a fat dick. Y'all are pussies, y'all. I want y'all white asses, and I know it has to be a lot of whiteness in that fucking group. I wonder, if you were dropped in the middle of Havana, Cuba, I want you to try to survive in the street, and try to spread that nonsense. We have a joke on that island about how some people try to claim that they're white. If a white passing person tries to claim that they're white and they tan, not red, they tan, the people will laugh at them because they know they're mitts. You think that all of this that's going on is because of this event? No, this has been going on for years. Here in the US and even outside of the US. The hatred has seeked its veins elsewhere as well. One more little tidbit before I jump back to the furry fandom. Back when my parents were in New York, I wasn't born at the time. I might have to pause this because I see a car coming up from here. There's a window right here. There was this little venue that my parents were invited to. My mother was invited, and this person told them that she can bring her husband. He had no idea that my dad was black. My mother brought my dad. The guy was... his attitude completely changed. He tried to kick him out. They tried to kick both of my parents out because my mother brought my dad, but it's black. It should have mattered, but it did to them. My mother cussed him out and did some things I'm not going to mention here, and they left. So much brutality and bullshit because of this. Let's not get into the inner works of this and hair and facial features. I can go on for days. Some of the dudes I dated, I mentioned in passing and a lot of my videos how they were. I never really mentioned the racial issues I had with a number of my exes, including Jusmel, including my last, especially my last ex. I mean, and my first boyfriend. I am so happy to see a number of people, as white as the furry phantom is, and there is no denying it, the sheer number of people that are speaking out about all the things that are going on right now. I am deeply happy. I'm glad. Because even though I said that this furry phantom saved me, I was still very cautious about it. But some of you motherfuckers, especially that one Telegram channel, fuck you. And the ones that are not even saying anything. I'm picking on Twitter like crazy. I'm noticing some of you cats are barely saying anything, or actually never said anything about it in the past. I don't want to say that I stalk. Oh no, I definitely do not. But I notice some things, and I notice things about people that they probably don't even fucking realize it themselves. Fuck you. Ignorance doesn't resolve anything. Ignoring a problem doesn't make it go away. I almost thought the same thing, and then I woke up 4 years ago. Especially the Latinos and the furry community who speak out about the issues I already mentioned, thank you. I'll admit I was a little afraid of talking about stuff like that, because sometimes people will comment in DMs and go, "Oh no, you're crazy," or "you're not Latino," or "you're just..." Nope, it's true. And those supporting the movement and the revolution that's occurring right now. It's what it is. It's not just manufactured outrage. No, it's not people just overreacting. This is something that's been bubbling for centuries. In and outside the United States of America. Shame on you bastards who said those awful nasty things in that Telegram chat. Shame on you for putting those ass-pinkily awful takes on Twitter. All lives matter is bullshit. It's bullshit. What about the buildings? What about the Target? A mí no me importa la fucking Target. Oh, the black folks are starting these and that. We already seen a lot of videos that indicate otherwise. And loads more that you already saw on Twitter. I mean, do I really have to go on? Do I? I haven't been resting well in a few days, so for those that have commissioned me and such, I know you're probably thinking, "Oh my God, Cassidy, look at all the shit that you just said, and you now addressing your clients." No, a few of my clients are people of color as well, so they know what's going on. I will try to get back to them when I can. You know, it's not going to be months and months. No. I will definitely try to get back to working on commissions next week. I haven't been sleeping well the past few days because I've just been very worried about those from the fandom that are out there and protesting and just trying to keep track of resources or latest information or stuff that I feel is important to put on my timeline. But as I said, if you see me go offline or what I will do is that if I'm at a protest, I will take a snapshot of any poster that I'm going to be using and posting on there. That doesn't guarantee that I'm going to be using the assassinate one, because I'm pretty sure you're going to go, oh, that's how you identify yourself. No, probably just, it could be one of my drawings, and put something to show that I'm going to be there, or whatever. But if not, definitely will donate, definitely will reach out to those that need maybe someone to vent to and such. The time is now. And for those of you that are part of the Black community, or those like me and more, who continue to live in La La Land because XYZ, you're no better. You really are not. You need to wake up and look very carefully at the partner that you have, or sister, or brother, or mother, or father, or whoever is next to you. See where they truly stand. The time is now. There's no going back. Enough is enough. Take care.